So one of the first things that I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a can that would be good for the size of the crown, and I use this pumpkin puree can, and I wrapped it in plastic wrap so that way it would be food safe, and then I put it in my little baking dish with a piece of wax paper on the bottom. This is actually my Wilton mold, and I think you guys have seen me use this before, but I feel like the bottom part of the mold, the little strip, is the closest thing to match the bottom band on the crown. So I'm actually going to roll this out and get it all nice and pretty and wrap it around the bottom of my can. And I'm going to repeat this step actually, I believe twice, and then once with the blue fondant, because I need like different aspects of the crown. Alright, so now that I have my first band on the bottom, this is actually my second band that I made using the same mold. And as you can see, there's like little dots going like in a line. It looks like a little row of pearls. Well, in between each pearl, I'm making a cut. And I'm going in between each one, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut every other one out, so there's going to be a space. If you look at the picture of the crown, there's like a spacing in between each like stud or so that is what I am recreating or attempting to recreate here in this part of the video. Now that it is all cut out, I'm adding a thin little bit of layer on the top of the bottom band, and I am pressing the second band down with the cutouts on top, making sure that it's nice and even and it is up against the can, up on top of the thing, and it's nice and pressed and on there. Okay, if you look at the picture, you see that there is a blue row of rhinestones. So I'm just going to kind of recreate this. I flipped it over and I'm just kind of cutting them. And I'm using my one little tool to kind of make the indent of a jewel inside. And again, I'm just going to stack this on top of the other two with a little bit of water to use as my glue, and I'm going to evenly press that on. I did pull some of them open a little bit because the other side isn't as thick, but it's okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to recreate and cut the gemstones that are on the top of the crown. I need 4 of them, and I'm just making little cuts and trying to make them as gemstone as possible. I thought I had a gemstone mold, and I do, but it's the teardrop gemstones and not the square gemstones. Now what I'm doing here is I'm using the filigree mold, and as you see I already have some out, and I was going to use these, was being the key word. The problem was with these is that even though they would have been the perfect setup, they were way too thin and they were breaking, and as they dried they got very brittle and I couldn't move them, and you'll see coming up that they just were not working out. I tried really hard and I really wanted to use these. I even let them sit as we ate dinner, and I slightly pulled the bottom part of the crown out, and I tried to put a little bit of water in there and then press it up against the can and hold it in place. One did stay, but the rest of them all either broke or they just fell and broke, or the weight was just too much of them. And I was really super sad, so I had to revert to, what I did was I used the heart. There's like a filigree heart and it doesn't match. And instead of using 4 of the gemstones, see there's the filigree hearts, I ended up having to go with them. I didn't have a choice. They were solid one piece and they were more sturdy and steady. So, hey, sometimes you have to improvise. They did fall off. See, they all just fell off. I was like, oh my goodness, come on. But they did stay together way better than the other ones, the previous ones did. Once I got them on, you see I put the can back and it's just holding them into place, and I'm holding them and shaping them around the can. So for tonight's last and final step, I wanted to get at least one coat of paint on to the front of the crown, and I wanted it to be completely dry, so it's going to sit out overnight. I have it wrapped up, but I use my gold color airbrush, and I did a gold coat, and then I did a metallic blue on top of the blue to give it a nice pearly effect, and just to give it the sparkle and stuff. I may even go over it in pearl dust just to give it that sparkle and shine that it needs. But as of right now, it's just going to just sit and dry.